So was your story the same?
My experience was a little different. The team I played on, I had a contract, and I probably only got paid maybe half the money for the contract. Mm-hmm. And that's just because contracts don't, and it depends on the country, but the contracts there don't, it's not like contracts here.
Okay.
The union was an important thing.
Yeah. So
it's not binding.
Every week I'd go in there and I'd say, okay, am I gonna get paid? Like, where's my money? And
did they pay for your
don't
accommodations?
Don't worry about it. Like, it's coming.
We got you.
They were great. They paid for.
I feel like
the black and white.
Who paid for what? Like,
I don't think that was different. Apartment, car.
So that was all paid for.
Plane tickets,
okay.
taxes, right? There was a lot of things, right? So we didn't pay taxes on a lot of them. They did, right? It was part of our contract. So that was
my paycheck was a little bit iffy. So I finally got to the point.
So you didn't know if you were going to get paid?
Well, that year I finally got to the point where they were so far in arrears, and I knew I wasn't going to get paid. But I was just like, okay, and was talking to my agent. And actually, was able to fill a spot on a team in Milan, Italy. Oh. And so I literally said, okay, see you guys, got on a plane.
So did you really not get paid for that though?
Oh,
then you What's up, everybody? It's Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
Hey guys, it's your girl Tyra Nicole.
Hey everybody, I am Nicole Pay,
and you are watching the RPR podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Real People in Real Estate podcast, where we talk about the real shit and not about real estate. I'm one of your hosts, Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Tyra Nicole.
What's up, everybody? I am Nicole Pay, and we're kind of switched around today. Yeah. We got Brooke in the middle of us. It's all good.
Yeah.
You feeling comfortable over here?
Guys, it's better for the editing if there's 3 different angles.
I know, but does it feel weird being on the other side?
It does feel weird.
You just came to the other side. All right.
Welcome
to the dark side.
I guess the con of that is I have to dance to the
You'd have to dance.
Yeah.
And you're in between Tyra and I, so it's kind of scary.
Tyra's laughing at me because
you know this is weird. You know this is weird. All right,
yeah.
We're going to get started. Today we have AJ Granger and Jason Klein of Klein Granger Real Estate. I practiced that so many times and I still messed it up. Guys, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for the nice tequila. Can we talk about that for a minute?
What is Shout out.
Yeah, what is it? Do you want to get it in the picture? Let's get it in the picture real quick because it came in a box.
Yeah, the entire vibe.
Addictivo tequila.
Addictivo tequila. It's an anejo.
I would say, is it anejo or is it?
It's anejo. It's an anejo, but it came in this beautiful box, and
it's
thanks. Thank you for coming along.
Very smooth, just kind of like the perfect taste.
That might be the new tequila, guys.
Might be.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if we can afford
Shout
that
out
tequila.
to, what is it?
I don't know how much it is.
Addictivo.
It's addictive.
I was just going to say, you get addicted to the tequila. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to jump into hot topics because we always start with hot topics. And last week, I wasn't freaking out because I don't do TikTok, but people next to me we're freaking out about the TikTok ban, and it came back, 2 hours later?
I think it was 12 hours.
It was 12. It was a total of a 12-hour ban, and people were straight panicking about this. So do you guys TikTok?
Nope.
I do not, but I have a 13-year-old daughter that does.
That does?
Yeah.
Did she panic?
She was devastated for a while.
Yeah.
I was in the car with my son, and he goes, well, that was 8 hours. That's all it took. It's back.
Yeah, it was back fast.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going to get my dog videos to send you guys. I just send them dog videos. That's all I do.
Yeah, it's crazy because I got the notification. When you click on the app, it said, it was down. It wouldn't let you click on anything. And then I was actually at the auto show with my parents on, was that Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday. And, I was told, hey, did you know that TikTok is back up? I'm like, what? And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping I'd get a little bit more of a break from TikTok.
I was recovering from that Lions game, so I wasn't even paying attention.
Oh, that's another
No.
Don't even want to talk about it.
My heart is still broken. Listen, I did not even want to watch. William wanted to watch football on Sunday, and I couldn't even watch it because we were supposed to be determining who we were playing next.
Yeah.
And, literally, I felt bad. We had Washington Commander people in front of us, and I don't know how many times I said, who the fuck are the Washington Commanders? And I was like, sorry, you're sitting in front of us. But everyone walking out was like, Who are the Washington Commanders? We just got our
were
asses.
the
They're like, what
Lions.
happened? What happened
Who were the
in
Lions
the
that
game?
day?
It was hard. It was hard to be in those stands. You could feel it. You could it was rough.
So I have
It
a
was
question.
rough.
Which one do you think was worse, last year or this year?
This year.
Really?
By far. This year. Because the vibe.
Everybody just kind of
No,
knew,
because
though.
last year was an excited moment. Like
Yeah.
we were going to each game not expecting to have another one. Like the vibe was different.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it
you
was
guys there? The
right?
expectations were
Yeah.
there.
That's
Yeah.
hard to
This
go.
time, and I said to William, listen, my husband listens to 97.1, any syndicated radio
Ticket.
you can probably think of. Yeah, 97.1, shout out to 97.1
Shout
Ticket. But that's all I do is every time he's in the car, I have to listen to all these syndicated radios. And I looked at him and I said, we're going to look real dumb if they come in and beat our ass. And he's like, no, it's not going to happen. Not going to
Yeah.
happen. They came in and beat our ass. Like that first
Yeah.
turnover, it was done.
I think
The vibe
everyone
of the
was
whole
expecting,
stadium changed.
Everyone just like knew we were gonna win, kind of like type of thing.
If you go in with that mindset that you're going to win, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
But
it
we
happens.
are down so many players. I think Goff was out for a hot second, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got hurt for a minute. Bridgewater came in for a minute, and I don't know.
After he got hit on the no
Yeah,
call.
the no call. And there are so many things you could go. Do I think that they should be allowed to interview for other teams while we're in the playoff? Absolutely not.
Oh yeah, we lost our coach.
We lost a shit ton of coaches. We didn't lose just one.
I
We've
seen one, but-
lost 3 at this point, with more to come. There's more coming because once they get into their place and they start cherry picking, they're gonna bring over their whole coaching staff. Like and now they're talking about Hank Farley going to possibly the Seahawks, which he's our offensive line coach. And so it was, the vibe was different. It was a really hard loss. We drank our sorrows away until about 4
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. And Sunday was rough. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't even watch the Rams game.
I agree with you on this.
yeah.
That second day was just.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Like to go and look at Facebook and knowing that Aaron Glenn was leaving us and that Ben Johnson's leaving us, and to watch that video of Ben Johnson. You go to a division team, like, talk about a slap in the face. Like, even Ben, I know you guys are not like, you guys
one
know
of
me
them
and my
was
diehard
the
Lions
Bears,
fan,
right?
but to go, you went to
ahead
the
and
Bears. Like, you
Yeah.
went to a division rival and then walked in there and said, this is where I want to be. Who does that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm venting.
It's fine.
It's been a rough
It's a
week
safe
in my
space.
house. Yeah, it is a safe space, and I'm gonna tell
Wait,
you,
did you guys watch the Ravens? Who did they play?
I didn't watch shit.
The Ravens
didn't watch
played
The Eagles.
I thought the Ravens were coming back. Did you guys see him drop the ball?
Yeah,
I didn't even watch
tight
the
end,
football
yeah,
game.
It's been a
That-
rough couple
oh
days
my
for
God.
him too.
Honestly, though, I'm not gonna lie. I'm so happy Matthew Stafford went home because I'm so happy he went home because you know that he would. I bet you Kelly Stafford and all them were celebrating the minute we lost, and then to see them turn around and lose,
Yeah.
it was a great thing. That's the only thing I was excited about. Other than that,
Yeah.
this year hurt a lot more than last year because there were different. Like we were talking about going to NOLA, like. We had an Airbnb
that's what
booked.
they were saying.
Like we were going to be on the road. We were hitting Atlanta to pick up my brother-in-law, and then we were going to NOLA. And
yeah.
Nice.
it was hard. This one was a hard one, a hard pill to swallow on this one. So, anyways,
Yes.
I'm done ranting.
You
Sorry, guys.
just never know with a pro team. You never know how they're gonna
You don't.
how they're gonna hold it together. But I mean, they've got something. They've built something now.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
find a way to hold it together and make another run at it.
And that's what, I don't know his name. He's one of the syndicated radios. His name's Derek, and that's what he said. He's like, we didn't lose our owner, we didn't lose our GM, and we didn't lose our head coach, nor did we lose anyone on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, if they built what they built, all this shit will fall in place. It's
Yeah.
going to fall in place.
And
So
they've
they're
been
gonna-
rotating guys on all year.
Exactly.
I mean, they've been filling guys on defense all year.
all year long. And
Did
even
you guys
making it
go to
work.
the game?
No.
No. Yeah. That first turnover, I can tell you wholeheartedly, that first turnover, the whole vibe of the stadium changed. You could feel it. Like,
Yeah.
we go there every week. I leave there with no voice. And this week, I just sat and I'm like,
It was hard to watch.
it was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. So, okay. Anyways.
Next year.
Next year. I mean, let's hope next year.
Should
Yeah.
we charge her $75?
For what? For venting?
Therapy.
Therapy session?
was
No,
gonna say-
because you want to know what? They charged me another $2,000 for my season tickets for next year, so they
You
just.
already paid that.
I've already paid for my therapy session with the $2,000 for our tickets that we just got upped for next year. So there's my therapy session on that. But all right, so
right.
TikTok ban, Lions broke my heart, and we have a new president.
We do.
We do.
We do. Are we
How you guys feel? I mean, we don't really get into politics like that.
I think that's one thing we really don't get into politics
I will
here.
say that I am. What's the word for it? I am kind of excited. I don't want to say excited, but a little bit just to see.
What's gonna
Like, because he just came in with, like, all this stuff. Like, he came in and went to work. Like, I'm not even going to front. Like, y'all know, like, I'm a business person.
You are.
And he came in and went to work. So that part alone was.
He started working at the
cool
inauguration.
So, because it felt like we didn't
time.
have a president, like, for the last 6-7 months. Like,
I mean,
that's the way I
seen
felt.
it. Has anyone even seen Joe Biden?
I felt like that, but
is he still
that's
around?
just me.
Do we know? Is he alive? Allegedly? Just kidding. I'm not.
I know.
Please don't come after me. I'm
saying that they're him, but I don't even know.
Allegedly. Don't come after us. I'm
But
just
anyway,
asking a question.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting 4 years.
Yes.
And I hope that
I'm game for the interesting.
I'm just
part
game
of
for
it.
change. I just want something different.
Yeah.
The last 4 years have been
We
rough.
need a change.
We
really
need a
bad.
change.
It's been really bad. Let's
I guess
just
so
be
does
clear.
the Lions coaching staff. So there's that. Changes for all right. Let's get into
And
it.
I'm
guys.
neutral, by the way. Like, I don't even get into
I don't-
politics
I'm
and all that
too.
stuff.
I'm too.
I just
I don't
call
either.
things for what it is. Like, it
Yeah.
is what it is at the end of the day. And I just know he came in and went to work. So I can't knock anybody
Period.
who goes to work. So.
All right,
All right.
so let's get into
it.
AJ and Jason.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Thanks for having
How was
us.
that intro? Like, I mean,
No, nice.
we
Got their
introed in,
opinion.
went
Sure.
straight into hot topics.
Hot topics are important.
They are. They
Very,
are.
very important.
We've had some pretty heated debate over hot topics on this podcast. So
So, are you guys childhood friends, or did you guys meet?
Go ahead.
So both AJ and I played basketball at Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
So,
oh man, I gotta leave. Are you serious? No, I'm just kidding.
so AJ
Oh
has
my
a
God,
national
you just
championship
scared
with
me.
Michigan State.
No, I'm a Michigan fan. I work at Michigan.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Should have worn.
Oh, Lord.
Should've warned
Here
you.
we go.
It's
We
okay.
won't hold it against
Another
you.
sports conversation.
So that's
Okay.
where we met at college.
Got it.
right?
Okay.
And he's a year behind me, so
What? Like, how did you guys meet though? Like, just playing ball, or
yeah, that's how he showed up at practice. Said, "Hey," but he came in early, and they come up early in the summers and play. So, yeah, we went through this. So we have a number of Big Ten championships together. I
That was
have
a
a
long
Final
time
Four
ago.
in '99.
Must
Yeah,
have been a long time ago.
He has a championship 2000. He had 19 points and X amount. So AJ played great. We both had European careers. And we did our own thing for a long
European
time.
Where? Like, let's
So I
dive
played
into
in
that.
Spain 9 years.
Oh.
AJ played.
You speak Spanish?
I do. I do.
I split my first year between Greece and Italy, and then played another year in Germany.
I'm Italian. Love it.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice.
And well, and Tom. So Tom Izzo's the head coach now, and he's he's in his 30th year at Michigan State, and then he had 12 years before that as an assistant there. And Jason's was his first year as a head coach, and I was his second year as a head coach. So he's been there.
For
We're getting old. He's been there a while.
I mean,
We
Michigan
are old.
State hasn't won a title in a while, so
Well, since AJ.
since me.
I'm just saying. I'm not throwing salt on the wounds, you guys. I have to mess with you. I'm a diehard Michigan fan too, so I have to throw some salt on the wounds there. But so how do you guys look at it now, looking back, seeing him where he's at now, and knowing that you were first and second year? Like, how do you feel about that, or what are your thoughts about the team? And
I think between the legacy that Jed Heathcote left before him, and then with Tom's tenure there for 30 years, I don't know that you have a program in the country that can say that they've had two tenured coaches like that for as long as they have.
No one can deny he's a great coach.
Yeah.
There's no way you can deny that.
Multiple trips to the Final Four and a national title and multiple Big Ten championships, and I would like to see him close another one before he ends, and I know that he would too. He's openly expressed that. But our time, we were in the early years, which is, I mean, to just see the change on campus, to change the facilities. I mean, everything that's happened since we were there, it's a pretty dynamic contrast.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that when we won, they purchased the floor and brought it in and repainted it, and then played on that for several years. We only had one auxiliary gym, and now they have two, and new basketball offices, and
Well, it's completely different.
Do you guys go back and visit?
We do. We
you
were there
guys go-
Sunday. We went back.
Uh-huh.
They still take care of us, which is great. So the coaching staff being there is, after all these years, is that doesn't happen very often, right?
Yeah.
You can pick up the phone and call the people that you know. Normally when a head coach comes in, they they clean out, right? And
Yep.
and him being there for this long it's been special. It's been great because he does still attract most of those ex-players back, and we have reunions every year for football and basketball at his house, at bars, and
wow.
it's kind of a little family that we're all, Spartan family, which is great.
That's pretty awesome.
We have a big reunion coming up. That'll be our 25th year. And then that's not just us. So that's the reunion for the year for everybody to come back. And at the Oregon game, I can't remember the date, but it's first weekend of February, I think. So
That
we'll
has
get
to
see
be a
everybody.
special feeling to be able to go back where it all started.
Yeah, and most everybody comes back still. People fly across the country to come back to be part of it, and it is neat. It's nice to have that opportunity every year instead of reaching out phone. You're going to run into each other once or twice.
And
a
it's
year.
not just for people that played for him. I mean, he opens it up to everybody. I forget, there was somebody that played in like 1960 or something.
Oh,
wow.
it's not just who he
Yeah.
coached; it's the
Yeah.
previous classes too, which
Got it.
is right.
So let's kind of throw it back to your childhoods. How did you get
Yeah.
into basketball?
You're tall.
It was kind of like an expectation.
Like, did your parents play or siblings or?
Well, mine didn't. I grew up, watching kind of the Magic Larry Jordan era, and basketball was different at that time. I mean, media was different at that time. Your exposure to the
Right.
game, and you just, I don't know. I was good at it, fell in love with it, and progressed. I don't know when I started playing, maybe 5th grade, 4th grade, something like that.
When did you know it was going to be a
on.
college thing though? Like, can you remember a time where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play in college.
Yeah.
Well, and that whole thing has changed now too. I mean, you're basically recruited through social media now.
And the NIL deals are getting crazy too.
Back when to get a name out, I drove to Cincinnati and put a number on my back and
Went to a camp.
played at a camp and played
Yep.
in front of a bunch of people and got my name on a list, and that's kind of how things started for me.
Yeah.
And then and then people knew who you were when you started to play travel basketball or at certain.
Were there
tournaments.
like travel teams like there are now?
I think the depth and breadth of it probably wasn't like it is now. I mean, I don't want to say everybody plays on a travel team now, but
I feel like
there is a
everyone does.
lot of travel commitment now.
Yeah.
Back then, it was more of an exclusive thing. I think.
agree.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you agree with that, but
I mean, I don't want to say my son played baseball since he was 8 and went to college for travel baseball. So it's kind of like I felt like it became more of a daddy ball situation where I felt like when he started, it was more exclusive. Which again, he's 20 now, so it's a little bit different. But it was more exclusive back then. So was it that feeling? Were you invited to teams for travel ball, or did you have to get an invite, or how does that work?
So to answer your previous question, so my father played basketball at U of D. I had 2 brothers that were 5 and 6 years older than me that were all state and played at Saginaw Valley, got offers to Kent State, some smaller Division I schools. So my experience getting to where I am and where I was a little different, right? They kind of paved the way for a name.
Okay.
And then when I was younger, I became better than them, right? Sorry if you're listening to this, guys.
It is what it is.
But it is what it is. And we got to those situations, but I agree, the scope of being able to play in the summers was much different, right?
Yeah.
I think the team that I started on was 13. When we graduated high school, all 5 of us played in the Big Ten, which is, I don't know if you can say that on many travel teams now, right? So
Yeah.
So the scope is much different.
I think like anything else, money's crept into it at some point. And then
Money
it-
and politics.
And then it expanded, and
Yeah.
now it is kind of what it is now.
Propaganda and politics.
How do you guys feel about how social media plays such an important part now of the recruitment and just sports in general?
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
But we hear a lot of sides, right? The coaching,
a
the
tough
Michigan
question.
State. If you ask if Tom Izzo was sitting here, he would say he absolutely hates it, right?
Yeah.
So now you have to recruit kids that are already on your team to stay the following year, right? And that's not how he coaches, right? That's not how these big time coaches, they push you. Now it's, if you get pushed, maybe you go to North Carolina or you slide into Maryland or you slide. There's no consequences and there's nobody, you don't have to sit out anymore. When we transferred, when we were there, you had to sit out a year. Nobody wanted to do that as a kid, right? I mean, that would have been torture. So
is it like well, you said sit out a year? Is that like a red flag or like
So if you transferred when we were playing,
a red shirt, not red
Yes.
flag? I'm sorry, red shirt.
No, so
I'm still on
you
football.
do get a red shirt, but you do have to sit out that year, right? So right, you didn't lose your eligibility that year, correct?
No.
No. So you,
So
still,
you just sit out the first year, but it has nothing to do with red shirting at all.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, so
That's
it's different,
interesting.
right? So
Yeah,
now
that is
you can
different.
play the next week if you want to. Now I don't know how exactly it works, but
So it's more like lenient.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
you can say, oh, you know what, I didn't like how you treated me today. I'm going to go for the an ideal at this particular school, and if it's the same, then goodbye, right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about that being veterans? Like, how do you feel about that as veterans?
I don't think we missed out on anything. I mean, you can always kid that you did, but it was a different time and a different place as far as how things were handled. I don't think athletes today would appreciate me saying this because it's like I'm taking something away, but it's the wild, wild west right now. And I feel like there needs to be some ceiling to something to help with. I don't want to take anything away from anybody. I mean, I do think that the gain from certain people was significant without there being anything to the athlete, and that was. You were getting a free education, yes, and you graduate with a degree and all. That's great, but I do think that there should have been some likeness stuff or just the ability. But it was a different time. The ability to market yourself wasn't like it is now.
Wasn't the same.
It's not the same, and so it needs to be different. But now they've got to kind of find their path now to what that looks like. And I just don't think it can be a free for all kind of like it is, because it's almost like who can. Ohio State just wins the national championship, and their budget this year was $20 million and money to their kids that played on the team. And you've got some kids on that team that are making a significant amount of money, and some that aren't. And I'm not here for absolute parity and fairness and all that, but you've got to figure out a way forward that's not just uncapped. I don't know that.
I agree with that.
I don't know that that's healthy for college athletics.
Yeah.
I mean, playing college sports, like, I can fully agree, because I think it was hard. I don't want to say it was harder, but I think, like you said, the dynamics were different. Like, the things that we did were different to play college sports. But I also think the greed of money has taken, this is my own personal opinion, has taken front seat to the actual game itself and the love for the game and the working hard for the game.
Sure,
and
the amateurism is gone.
Yeah,
right?
like it's not the same as going out there. For me, it was volleyball, and I played volleyball. And for me, it was going out to the gym at 5 a.m. And there's probably still athletes who do that. But when you know you have this money backing you and you can pretty much go anywhere,
Well, now you have athletes that are committing to schools, and then other schools are offering them more money.
More money. I mean, we have athletes
committing
in 8th and 9th grade now, where before I remember, like, I wasn't even talked to by colleges until I was in 11th grade. Like, I don't remember people I went to school with being talked to at 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. I remember it was like 11th grade, and then 12th grade was like, 11th grade was like pretty much 10th going into 11th was like that pivotal year. Like, you had to make that name for yourself. You had to figure out what you were doing. And by 12th grade, if you didn't have someone looking at you, you had to work your ass off 10 times harder.
Or you missed your window.
Or you missed your window.
Right.
Where now you've got kids getting looked at in 8th grade.
I was young. I was, and I think part of that is go back to my brothers, kind of leading the way. But I do get it, right? It has changed. I'm friends with some of the coaches now at Michigan State, and they're calling these kids at 8th grade, talking about what they're baking, what they're baking, right? And they're having these conversations in the middle of dinner. And I don't know how that stops now. I think we've opened that floodgate, and I don't know how we go back.
It's just a different world.
It is.
Everything.
World.
Everything's so easy right now, and I guess it applies to that as well. It's starting to make things easy. I mean, just literally, like, kids can just Google stuff to get answers to questions now. Before we had to open like
we had to do
the
the work.
encyclopedia, the dictionary.
We had to go to the library.
Go to the library, like.
My daughter's doing her math.
Like, you don't even have to go to the library anymore.
She's got her Chromebook in her
kid.
lap. Yeah, Zoe had her Chromebook in her lap today because they haven't had school for 2 days. She's doing her math homework. She has her Chromebook in her lap. I see her, and then I hear her phone going, the answer is, da-da-da, and I looked at her, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, Mom, I can't figure it out. So I'm like,
I'm cheating.
and I'm like, you're cheating. She's like, it's not cheating. And I'm like, Zoe, that, like, you literally, your phone is telling you the answer, what to write, and you're writing.
We
Please
literally
don't suspend
have-
my child. She wasn't cheating, I promise.
We literally have
she's a straight A
ChatGPT
student
now. Like,
but
you can
even
ask-
ChatGPT, like, everything has just become so accessible and convenient and easy. And I mean, now the problem she's doing, she's like, Mom, look at this problem. And I'm like,
I need my phone too.
Yeah, like I don't want to admit to her that I have not a single clue what this problem is talking about.
Sure.
Not to mention
And I'm not mad
Ben
at her.
gave up on the math.
they do math so different now.
Yeah.
So different.
I gave up like a long time
ago. So I'm not
with
mad
my
about it
kids,
because she's a
so.
straight A student. But I was like laughing, and I can hear her like have her phone down here, and I can hear Suri like giving her the answer, and I'm like, Zoe, if you're gonna cheat, go in your bedroom.
mean,
Like,
teacher-
don't do it in the living room.
The teachers know what's going on anyways.
They
but-
know how it's working
Yeah.
out.
Jenny, you guys tell us a little bit more about playing on Michigan State basketball. How was that experience for you guys?
Yeah.
Exhausting.
So,
Really?
I was the fortunate one to have Coach Izzo's first year, and we weren't very good. And if you know anything about him, he's tough, right? He pushes through everything. That's one thing I did learn from Michigan State. If you're asking me what I learned, was that if there's something that goes south, you push through it, right? And he was amazing at doing that. But it wasn't easy. And I think the start of we played in the NIT, which is not very desirable, right? We didn't make the NCAA tournament. And then the second year, I think by Christmas, we had some ultimatums. And that, I think I was up at 5 and I got home at 11 p.m. every night. I mean, that's just how much we pushed. And we can see it now. We laugh about it now. And we went to Maui. Maui was my first basketball game, was the Maui Invitational. And we were sitting in the hotel, and we're watching North Carolina, who has an older coach, Arizona, and they're at the beach, and they're doing hula dances, and we're in the hotel watching video. Haven't seen the sun in 24 hours, and it's things change. So our experience is different as you go through this process. But it was great. It was a great learning experience, and I don't have any regrets at all.
I would not trade it for the world, obviously, but you do learn a lot going through that. I don't think, sports is entertainment, and I don't think the general layman has an appreciation for how much effort goes into what an athlete does at that level.
I mean, Dan Campbell said that in his press conference. Like,
I mean, it's
you guys put your bodies through so much, in the mental and physical. I don't think people realize.
and there's a
And emotional, if you want to put
there's
that
a
in.
disparity between athletes too. I mean, everybody has a ceiling. Everybody can function and operate on different levels of food and energy, and you see that as you play. I mean, I was a 5 meal a day guy. I mean,
Wow.
and then you'd have the Michael Phelps calorie intake thing. I mean, it was just absurd how much burn we were going through, how much we had to do to replenish, the amount of maintenance that you had to do to keep your body functioning at a certain level. And then you'd have other people that you'd play with that were eating Pop-Tarts and running circles all day long. It just But there's always that dichotomy between different athletes, and you see that even in the NFL today. I mean, James Harrison with the Pittsburgh Steelers plays until he's 40 at a defensive position at the highest level. Tom Brady's age. I mean,
LeBron James,
Vince Carter.
I
mean, these people are built different.
I can't even walk up the stairs
No.
anymore between my knees and my shoulders.
Yeah.
We were at the President. We were sitting down behind the scorer's table, and my daughter wanted ice cream. I had to walk up and down those stairs twice, checking my pulse when I get to the top. I was sweat. It was tough.
Yeah. I make my husband makes fun of me because he calls my knees Rice Krispies because
You could hear
from sports and the surgeries that I've had from playing, my knees literally sound like Rice Krispie treats. You can hear me walking down the hallway. So it's a lot on your body. But you said that you had ultimatums. So what, like, was there ultimatums as far as like curfews or things that you guys had to do? When you were like in Maui, you said you were given ultimatums. Yeah.
No, just the way that the timing of it all, right? So if it was his 4th year, you go back every 4 years to the Maui, right? So that's something that's an invite. So every class gets to go. I was more or less saying that being in the early years, his learning curve was different than it would be now, right?
Yeah.
So he was nervous. He was a young coach. Was he 40 years old at the time? And there wasn't, I wouldn't say ultimatums. I would just say there was a different way of, his style changes over the years.
Yeah.
And we can sit back and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of politics in college basketball that you guys dealt with?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think the coaching style that he had caused us to play better as a team. Like, you hate to say it's you against the coach, but it is that way a little
Yeah.
bit. You figure out a way to band together as a team and to go at it, and obviously you turn that on the other teams that you're playing and things. But that was his style, and I think that paid dividends. I mean, you were talking about what's different between today and versus when we played, and I don't know if we're a national championship team then, because you have 3 NBA players that went all 4 years. Did Morris play 5?
Morris was 5. He redshirted my freshman year.
Morris played 5 and arguably probably had maybe the best NBA career out of the team that we had. And
Well, Jason Richardson.
well, Jason Richardson too, but Jason Richardson won the Slam Dunk Championship twice, and his son plays on the team now. And so two great athletes, but you had people that had to stick it out for 4 or 5 years and play. There wasn't that really.
Doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't
right?
happen.
No, not at all.
The top 20, 30 guys are gone
And so-
right away, right?
Yeah.
So,
That made us special. I remember being on the floor in the national championship game against Florida, and it was, I don't know, sometime in the second half. I don't know exactly when. Those guys, their team started getting chippy with each other. And we just kind of looked at each other and smirked.
I was
And
going to say, that's always a comical.
because
Yeah.
we knew the game was in the bag at that
Yeah.
point, because we
But once that happens, it's done.
were a more close-knit team than they were.
So talk about moving forward. So you graduated first. Did you go straight to overseas?
So I did. So we lost to Duke by 6 in the 99 Final Four. And got invited to a couple of camps, but those camps start later in the year, like October, and I left in August for a 2-year contract in Spain, and the money was great. The opportunity was awesome, and it just fit me to a T. And I wound up being there for a long time, and actually they flew me back last October, and they put me in the Hall of Fame over there, which was great. They brought my family
amazing.
over, my wife, and put us up for 8 days, and it was a great experience. And I still talk to a lot of those guys. Some of those guys are some of my closest friends. So yeah, that part of it is really, really neat, right? It's an experience that not many people have, and we love it. My wife was there with me 85% of the time, which was great. So we got to travel. We got to do some things that you can't do at that age, 22, 23 years old, that and I feel grateful for it. I really do.
So was your story the same? Did
My
you go?
experience was a little different. I actually met my now wife in high
let me
school,
make
and
sure.
so I was a year after Jason, 2000. Well, I had a pretty busy year. I won a national title. I got married, and then we got on a plane and flew to Greece.
Oh, wow. So your high
And-
school sweetheart, did she go to Michigan State too?
No, she went to she played basketball for a year in Muskingum.
Oh, nice.
East of Columbus,
Okay.
Ohio. And then
Gosh,
she
you guys in
transferred.
Ohio and Michigan
Okay,
State. Like,
how did you guys meet?
You guys are
Because
killing me.
we love stories.
Well, and then she transferred to Bowling Green, and it actually
BGSU.
yeah, and so it actually no, it worked well for us because we were so busy that she was able to go to school and work a job, and then it went, when we were in season, she would come up and spend a lot of time with Jason and I.
You did?
And
great.
and then in the summer, I had the opportunity to go home on the weekend. We went to school year round, played year round, so I would go home on the weekends sometimes, and that worked well just because the schedule was so busy
Yeah.
that we stayed together. But
If I don't say this, my wife's probably listening. My wife played basketball at Michigan State too, and she's the 20th all-time leading scorer in Michigan State history.
Wow.
Oh,
So
that's
both of you guys
amazing.
play basketball.
Play ball. Yep.
So that's
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And AJ's daughter plays at the University of Toledo for volleyball.
yeah,
Yep.
Volleyball was my jam.
Yeah. Where'd you play?
Huh? Well, I started at Schoolcraft, went to Madonna.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so started Schoolcraft is where I started to kind of get my foot, and then I headed to Madonna, and then I had a baby. So that
so
Cool.
ended my career very quickly, but it was worth every ounce of it. So my son's 20 now, 19 turning 20, and he's amazing. So,
So
he's
my experience was, I don't know what your experience was when you arrived in Spain.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I was going to ask
that's
about
what
that.
I want to know about
But
is what
my
is that like?
experience when I arrived,
So you went to Greece, correct?
I went to Greece in Athens pre-Olympics,
Okay. Oh,
and
that had to be crazy.
sorry, but it's a third world country,
Yeah.
and
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you roll up, I mean, we fly over, we roll up on the tarmac, and they bring up the stairs. There's no jet bridge. This is my, your first experience. You don't know what to expect. There's not phones with information.
And you're a newlywed?
Right. Newlywed. And so
Come on, honey, trust
we
me.
go down the steps, we get on the bus, and there's probably 10 stray dogs on the bus.
Oh,
What?
What? Are you serious?
Is that how that works there?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about
20
now.
years
now,
I don't
20
know about
years
now.
ago. But still, like,
And, you take the bus over to the terminal, and you get into the terminal, and there's stray dogs all over the terminal.
Wow.
And the coaches pick you up, and they take you to your apartment, and here's your apartment, and good luck.
Just leave you.
Did you guys ever feel?
was that your experience? I mean, mine
Everything but the
with
dogs?
or
Yeah.
without the stray dogs.
No, it was very similar, right? You're here to do your job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need to hold your hand. Here's your apartment. We'll see you at practice X. We'll get you there, and then you can find your own way, right? So it's sink or swim, right? So that's pretty.
Did you guys ever
pretty
question like whether you wanted to do it? Like, was there ever a time where you felt like
Well, if you saw our living accommodations in
Yeah.
college,
I was gonna-
it wasn't much of a
Different.
stretch. Like,
Okay. So
There
you're
wasn't
used
much to be impressed about when you got to Greece. Well, but I'm thinking, like, I'm going to Greece. I'm playing ball for Greece. At least, I mean, was it 4 walls in a bed?
my experience is completely different. We've talked about this many
What
times.
is different areas?
I was in the north of Spain my first year near Santander.
Okay.
Then I played 7 years in the Canary Islands. So the Canary Islands is like Miami, right? So there's no heat, there's no air conditioning, the windows are always open. Our travel was a lot. Our closest away game was a 2.5-hour flight. So it was either to Madrid or to Barcelona. But I wouldn't change anything. I mean,
Okay.
they were professional. They were great. And I know you didn't have the same type of
what
experience.
was your temperature there in Spain?
Let's say high 70s most of the year. I mean,
Okay.
What was it like in
That's
Greece?
We didn't have
Perfect.
air conditioning. We didn't have, and our average temperature during the day was probably 105,
Stop
108.
it, I
that's
didn't
depending
know.
on time
I
of year.
heard
too,
that
right?
it's like
I
is it
didn't
like
know it got
I
that
heard
hot
it's like
there.
a luxury to have like a AC unit
Yeah,
or
Well,
I
something.
agree. And it, the dryer right at the time
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
So you air dry
Air
most
dried
of your
your
time, right? So
clothes?
that was our first year too.
Yeah, I heard that
Like,
too.
Wouldn't
I
change
guess
it.
I
Look,
never knew it got that hot
it
there.
sounds so terrible, right?
I mean,
Wouldn't
no, but you
change
have
it
an
for the world.
opportunity. You have an opportunity that people would kill for.
Look, the lifestyle is I would invite everybody to take a trip overseas or to take an extended trip
Yeah.
to understand, what we have here.
Yeah.
Really.
So how did you transfer from Greece to Italy? Like, how long did you play in Greece, and then how did that transition
So
happen?
the team I played on, I had a contract, and I probably only got paid maybe half the money for the contract,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just because contracts don't. And it depends on the country, but the contracts there don't. It's not like contracts here.
Doesn't
Yeah,
mean anything.
okay.
The union was an important thing. Right?
Yeah. So
It's not binding.
every week I'd go in there and I'd say, okay, am I going to get paid? Like, where's my my money? And
Did they pay for your
don't worry
accommodations?
about it. Like it's coming.
We got
They
you.
were
You're
they were
okay.
great. They paid for.
I had my.
I
feel like the
I
black
had
and
a
white,
I know,
like
who
they were
paid
so
for
different.
what? Like,
Well, I
did
don't think that was different. Apartment, car.
so that was all
that's all
paid
taken
for.
care of.
Plane
Okay,
tickets,
okay.
taxes, right? There was a lot of things, right? So we didn't pay taxes on a lot of that. They did, right? It was part of our contract. So that
Okay.
was, that
But
was
my
a-
paycheck was a little bit iffy. So I finally got
So
to
you
the
didn't
point.
know if you were going to get paid.
Well, that year I finally got to the point where they were so far in arrears, and I knew I wasn't going to get paid. That I was just like, okay, and was talking to my agent, and actually was able to fill a spot on a team in Milan, Italy.
Oh.
And so I literally said, okay, see you guys, got on a plane.
So
and
did
flew
you
to Italy
really
and-
like not get paid for that though?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you just
Yeah.
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There would have been potential recourse, but that
Yeah.
recourse probably would have been over a 10-year period.
Yeah. They just kept
It may have
stringing
cost
you
you more
along.
money than what you were going to get paid too.
time and money.
So
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And if you talk
money
to
and time.
if you talk to people that have played over there, the experience between the both of us is going to be very relative to, I think, the experience you'll hear from the person you're talking to, depending
Yeah.
on where they played, the team they were playing for. Your team was the team. So the way that the European leagues work is most of those teams are tied to clubs. They're not tied. They're a professional club that runs youth, all the way down to youth programs, right?
Okay.
And so,
Some are connected to soccer teams too, right? So Barcelona,
Yeah.
was Madrid. These huge soccer teams fund some of these teams. Some
So
of
they'll
it's different.
develop players over time within their own clubs, and they'll bring them up to those teams. But there's actually 3 levels of teams for basketball in Europe. So if you want to be in the first league, you end up being one of the top 2 teams, and either you move up, right? Top 2 teams in say the third league, move to the second league. The bottom 2 teams in the second league move down to the third league.
Oh wow!
And so if you want to start a
level
team
system.
there, you can fund it, start in, say, the third league, and you can move your way to the first league. But every year, those bottom 2 teams are going to be moving down. And then depending upon where you finish, you could be playing in the second. Most of the games that you play are in the country that you play in.
Okay.
So there's like a 12, 14 team league in Greece, say. Then the top 2 teams are going to play also another game that week in the Euro League against other countries. And then there's a second tier, I forget what they called that. ULEB, where you would play, again, other countries in their top 2.
A lot of travel.
A lot of travel. But
That's crazy. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was just like a standard. You went over there, you played for one team. I didn't realize there was like a whole hierarchy and level system to it.
I'm not sure what it is now, but when I played, when you played, there was 2 Americans allowed on a team.
That's it?
And then I think now it's 5, or have they changed that?
4 or
again?
5. I don't know.
So
we're old. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you speak with your your teammates?
When you first got there, yeah.
So,
Because
the universal language is English, right? So we're the only country that doesn't teach
Yeah.
too, right? So most of my teammates always spoke a little bit of English.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we talked about this earlier, you sink or swim, right? You learn what, if you're coach, you go through that. You learn that first, right? What practice, like where you're supposed to be, what the languages. And then you try to let it trickle over to your everyday life, right? So
did they help you with translation, or did they offer
They offer
a
tutors.
translator?
Yep, they offer tutors. And normally there would be an assistant that would speak Italian or definitely American or English. I say American. That's so disrespectful. So English. And it was something that that most teams provided, right? Some type of assistance.
So we have a question. Someone asked, would you guys let your kids or encourage them to play pro in Europe?
Sure.
I would, for sure. My daughter's 13, and I'm hoping.
Oh, really?
I would wish that she would have that experience. 100%.
So
yeah.
Why do you think that question's being asked? Do you think it's a safety question?
Yeah, is this a negative thing towards
I see
our
who's
experience?
asking it, so I know. I can see who's asking it, and
I think it's a legitimate
She's
question.
definitely not. You guys know who's asking
it. Yeah.
No, I never felt, and I get it. If I never felt any type, and we were there, right? I was getting on a plane during September 11th. We were delayed. My buddy, one of my closest friends, he's from Long Island. He had people working downtown, and we get on a plane for 3 hours, and you don't know what's going on. So, I mean, we've all went through these different life experiences, but I think everyone's very safe. I think I would trust. Everyone's staying in groups too, but I mean, I would love.
I think your situational awareness has to be just as much as you have situational
I agree.
awareness here, right?
I don't look at that as like a negative question. I even think for like experience wise, especially like I think for my daughters and my sons, I don't know, because I have 2 and 2. I don't know how I'd feel if my daughters were like, "Hey, Mom, I'm about to go overseas," versus my son saying, "Hey, Mom, I'm going overseas."
Sure.
So I don't think it's a negative connotation behind it, but I think that
Yeah.
when you go there, for me, I didn't realize half the stuff that you guys talked about. I thought the expectation was completely different as an American coming over and playing ball. You were recruited, obviously you were recruited to go there. So I assumed that the experience would be, like you said, not getting on a bus with straight up. I never would have thought that in
How
a million
old were
years.
you guys when you went?
Right out of college, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did
So
your...
it's eye-opening. To me, I don't know if it is for you, but it's
Yeah.
eye-opening me because I think the persona of Americans going and playing sports overseas is not. I think it's glorified. Glorified, is that the word I'm
Glorified,
looking
yeah.
for? To be a different experience, even if it's a great one for you guys. I didn't realize. Like for you to say you didn't
there
even
are
know
negatives, right? There's
Yeah,
negatives
like
and
for you to
negatives.
say you didn't even know
Sure.
you were going to get paid, I would have never even thought that.
And that happens in different countries, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
I think
not
that
owed
could
a dime,
happen
right? So
anywhere.
And I don't think they were more than 2 days late my entire 9 years over there. So depending on where you are, right, and your experiences are different, but
I think
look, I was really rough in it. I mean, I was living on the Mediterranean in Athens. And, didn't have a commitment like you do at the college level or at the pro level here. And again, some clubs are ran differently. Some expectations are higher than others. I mean, it everything is different, right? It's depending on where you are and what you're doing. So, but look, I lived in Milan, Italy, which
I know,
is
how
one
do
of
you
the top
complain
3
about that?
fashion capitals of
I was
the
gonna
world.
say, like going to Greece or Milan or Spain.
He picked up a lot of
How do you complain about that at all? Like, so I think there's
Yeah.
a whole different level of experience. So was your experience in Milan the same as Greece? Like,
like completely different. I mean, I got paid there. We lived in
Most
he's like, I got
importantly,
paid. Number one, he got paid.
no stray dogs. Like lived
yeah.
lived in a great apartment.
Okay.
Literally had a cafe trattoria that was like, I could walk out my door and walk 2 doors down, and I could walk in there, and it was club friendly. And okay, what are we having tonight? And and house wine, brick pizza. Like, I mean,
Were you guys local celebrities?
people knew
Do you
who
guys
you were.
feel like that? Like people knew who you were?
I went back a year and a half ago, and I got stopped quite often. And
Really? That's pretty
which
awesome.
is surprising because you age quickly when you get to where we're at, right? And yeah, so I felt like we had kind of the run of the city. We had a soccer team that was in the first division, in the second division, in the first division, and we were good. We qualified for the European competitions each year, and
Football.
Yeah, football. Sorry,
So
I'll say
how
soccer
was-
on this.
Soccer,
one.
yeah.
How was life after you guys
Yeah.
were done playing? Like, were you guys hoping to go to NBA?
No, I got done playing when I was 32. I knew
Okay.
I need a new hip. Those days are behind me. It was a tough transition, right? You play this sport, and either you go into the basketball world, which many of our friends, I know many of my friends from Europe went into that, or you don't have any job experience. Right? So you're 32. Show me your resume. I play basketball. Right?
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough, and I said we were going to touch on this, but I'm going to have to touch on it now. So I took over an accounting business that my father ran, right? And Brooke is one of my clients. And then so my father did the same thing, accounting and then the real estate, and I've been doing both for 15 years, and now we want to kind of grow this side of it, right? So, and part of it is, AJ he's been his president's school board for how many years?
Well, been on our school board for 11 and a half, but I was president for 7.
For 7 years, right?
What
So talk
school
about a
board?
respected guy in the
Do you
neighborhood.
want to say what school board or?
It's Liberty Benton.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where's that?
it's in Ohio.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, bring in a respected guy that's done this and is intelligent, and we just figured name recognition is a lot of this, right? And,
Yeah.
and you can, so we're trying to build a brand, right? And as all of you guys are, I've watched some of the podcasts, right? And I watched, you guys on here, so we're going to see if it works, right? I think we're both very capable of doing it, both numbers guys, both and AJ's probably better at the tech than I am already. And
I was going to ask
been
that.
here.
So, like, you were already in the accounting world, and how did real estate come about?
It was just so accounting is seasonal still. I mean,
Okay.
I work every day, right? I have people that pay estimates or X and answer calls and answer questions, but there's a space there for this, right? And there's a network. I have X amount of clients that someone's going to need something, and bringing AJ would just seem perfect, right? He's much more techie than I am, right? Will you agree with that? By far, right? Probably already better at the system than I am after 10 years, and that's what we needed. And he's great with the he's getting better with the mailers and the social media and that. So it's been a good match.
Have you always been into tech?
I was just going to ask
Or-
that, yeah.
Well, I'm tech from a certain perspective. Like I can build my own computer and do those types
Yeah.
of things. But
I mean,
I've
listen,
never,
My dad
time
was
out.
like
Just
that.
stop. He said I'm tech from a certain perspective. I can build my own
Yeah.
computer because everybody
Exactly.
can just build her own
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
I can
Like,
break,
come on
I
now.
can break my computer.
I
know
can
that.
break it, but I can't build it.
it's so funny though because like I remember being back here and text. You remember when you used to pay per text?
Oh my gosh, was it like 15
Maybe
cents
they
or
don't.
something?
Maybe they don't.
I do.
No.
I do.
No.
15,
I
was it like
remember
15?
buying, like, the phone
That's how my
cards
phone
and
got
stuff.
taken away because my parents
yeah.
got the bill and it was like
Right, with the bill.
15 cents, I think, or something.
Oh my God, that
Or
was so
something.
great. When you had to buy like the phone cards
yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
store.
We were in college and
We're
we
not-
still
yeah.
had the MCI calling card.
Nope,
I'd use
the
an MCI
Nokia.
calling card
My
to call
fir-
my
my
parents
first
at
phone
home.
was a
You're really
Nokia.
telling our age, AJ,
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
It was
with without saying
I
that.
am not,
So-
we are the same age. I
We're not
guarantee
far.
you we're very close in age. Like,
You'd send the phone bill around and circle. Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
my
that
phone.
was it.
ridiculously crazy.
Do you
back
remember
I
the-
would always have anxiety. Like, so for I guess my age or my era, it was like after a certain time, it was free text messages, I think.
oh yeah, after night wasn't
But
9,
if you
7 or
weren't-
9
That
p.m.
was crazy. I forgot
Oh,
about
yeah?
that.
Yeah, you could do like free.
I
My
forgot
first
about
phone
that.
was a Nokia.
Yeah.
And you had to pay, and you had to like put in, like, you had to buy a card.
Yeah.
And you had to put in the amount of how much you paid, and then it turned into it went on your parents' phone bill.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then my
my
parents
God.
got the
It was
phone
just
bill,
really bad.
and then I never had a phone.
Yeah.
So,
I just remember going into like the liquor store or whatever, like getting
Buying
a
those
phone
phone
card,
cards?
like every.
Yeah, I wasn't in that age, but
No.
Yeah.
I have a business degree from,
Okay.
from MSU, but like we're the bridge generation.
What is
Like-
that?
what's the
Well,
bridge generation?
We're bridged between having and having not tech.
Very much. I
Like-
think.
I think
Having-
yeah,
Okay, when did you guys graduate from high school? We're gonna do
Yeah,
high school. When did you
that's
graduate?
95.
96.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so you're a
I'm
little bit
2000, so
older,
I'm
yeah.
not too far behind you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm
I'm
2000.
2000.
you say
2002.
that.
2000.
I mean, I had a
I'm
cell
Okay,
phone,
we
but
was
it only
2K.
had
Okay.
like
Anyway.
I had a Qualcomm cell phone that had 100 minutes on it.
Oh, you had to buy minutes. I
For
forgot
safety.
about
Yeah, I remember
that.
buying
So like, because I was
minutes.
driving on the highway,
Yep,
right, and
yep.
from back and forth from school and things, and like you just kept it in the car, and then if you were gonna like call somebody, you were like, "Hey, what are we doing?"
Talk fast.
Make it
I
quick.
only have 2
And you
minutes.
talk for 30 seconds and you hang the phone up.
Hold on, I'm gonna find a payphone. I'll call you right back.
No, when
Right.
they say
Yeah.
that,
Hold on. Text me the number of my pager where you're at.
Yeah. But what about the pagers? Like the pagers.
That was it.
before
I remember.
that.
I remember saying like, text me on my pager. I'm gonna find a payphone. I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I love
Yeah.
having access to everything, but like my point about the text messages is like, I was like, you want to get a hold of me? Call me. Like it wasn't.
Ugh,
You
it's
text
terrible now.
You text me and they'd be like, call me. Like,
It
what are
would
you
take-
doing?
Listen.
Yeah.
At the point we're
I
at.
love when text messages got like the thing.
Do you remember
too.
'Cause I just
when
didn't
we
like
used to have to
talking.
text?
Me
And you
either.
have to
Just
go.
text
You would
me.
have to
Tell me
go.
where I gotta be.
Like for the
So
number
much
one was
easier.
like ABC, so I had to go like if I wanted to like be there
Oh,
in
yeah.
5, you had to go B.
20 minutes later,
20
you send
minutes
a text.
later, where you would have just picked up the phone and said, "I'll be
Right,
there in
that's
5
true,
minutes."
too.
But remember, you had to go like and find the B, and then you had to find
Yeah.
the E, and then the space bar.
It's
So I'm
crazy.
trying to
We've
give
come
you.
a long
I'm trying
way.
to give you some relativity here because I'm techie, but like my adoption of social media is like why would you put that on social media? Like because
It's different.
I'm a bridge generation.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
I never
didn't
heard of
grow
that.
up
That's
just
actually
I never heard of that
I
either.
like
giving
that.
all of my info to everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I like that bridge.
I think I'm a bridge generation too.
I think I can agree
they
with
say
that.
that
Yeah.
that generation is so lucky because you guys had both ways, right? Like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
life without
True.
tech,
That's true. So.
but you also
Yeah.
know tech as well.
Yeah.
And that's the last generation that really, or that's
Yeah.
the only generation that really has.
we don't fully rely
Yeah.
on it. We use it as a function,
Yeah.
but it's not. We're not. I guess
Yeah.
I'm not dependent on it.
But
right?
If it goes
down-
away, we'll be good
Exactly.
still.
We'll figure
Right.
it out.
We can-
we'll
we can
figure
go
it out.
back.
We're the
Yeah.
figure it
Yeah, we
out
can go back.
generation. Like,
Yeah.
figure it out for sure.
Exactly. The rotary phone. You know what? I actually want to buy one of those and put
I
it in my
ha-
house and see what my kids do.
Listen.
Do you guys,
I
do you
would
guys have
be-
a house phone?
Huh? We do. I have a
No.
house line, but I do not like. I
No,
have
I haven't
somewhere
had
if
one in
I
quite
could
some time.
put like plug it in if I wanted to
Yeah.
in my house, and it came with our cable. Like we have a.
But we-
Is it still like the little square?
Yeah, that you like plug in, and it's in one random room, and my kids have never really.
So we
they
have
think
this
it's for
house.
the internet. to
We
be
have this
honest with
house
you.
that we're currently working on. We're doing like the rehab on it or whatever, and then I'm gonna resell it. So it has one of those phones in the basement, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
rotary phones or whatever.
Nice.
And I was like, we're
remember-
definitely keeping this here,
Yes.
and we're doing like the theme in the basement, like around having that.
You guys,
phone.
my babysitter had the
Yeah.
one on the wall that you picked up from the top. Do you remember the ones?
Oh,
the
yeah.
black
Yeah.
ones
That hung it
you
up.
you
Right.
would hang up.
Yeah.
Like, my babysitter had that phone where you'd pick up from the top, and it was a black phone. It was in her kitchen. I'll never forget
Hey,
it.
we
Are
were
you
just
ready?
talking about this. Do
I'm
you
ready
like
for it.
remember your childhood number? And like people
2740958.
I know
I have it.
7292714.
Something you'll never forget, right? I can't remember a number now, a phone number now.
Hey, I remember like people around me, like their number, like their
Yeah.
home number. Like
Yeah.
I can name like about 4 people. Like I remember their home number.
you
remember this
and
noise?
some
The-
still have that number.
Are you
The
gonna do
busy
the noise?
noise. The
Oh yeah.
Me.
Remember
Oh,
calling for
God.
time?
Oh,
Like
and then
Talk about being frustrated.
and then hold on, I gotta call.
I used to call every
waiting.
morning when I found out about that.
Calling
when
for
I was
time?
Yes.
I laugh about it now because you were going to say, do you remember when? Do you want to throw that in, what you were going to
Well, I
say?
was just going to say, I have a phone booth in my house.
You had a phone booth?
Oh, remember phone booth?
I would love
That was the best.
Listen,
That was the best.
for?
that would be
What
pretty
kind of phone's in it?
awesome.
An old Bell telephone.
You do?
It's a phone.
It's a
booth.
phone booth?
Like the shell and
Oh,
everything.
what was that called? Bell something? Bell.
Why?
Bell. I mean,
No, so like my
I think
grandfather.
there's a phone booth here. I
My
think
mom's
it's pretty
father is
awesome.
still alive. He's like 95, and he collected old phones, and he had this phone booth in his house. And when they moved to where they are now, he had to get rid of it. So I'm like, I'll take that.
Oh my goodness.
That would be actually
I would
awesome.
love to have a
So I have
phone
it.
booth.
You like
have to
still
send a
have it
picture
to
with
this.
You in it tomorrow.
And I've got some.
You have it to this day.
Yeah, it's not hooked up or anything, but it's in the house
Keep it forever.
because we don't have
yeah.
a landline in the house anymore.
Yeah,
But
I think that's.
he
freaking
collected the
awesome.
old, the old,
Yeah,
the
we
neck,
had to like.
the neck comes
you had
out
to
with the
do
speaker on the
wind
end
it
of
up.
it, and you
Yeah.
connect to the operator.
Yeah.
I've
Oh
got a
my
couple
gosh.
of those hanging in the house too that he had that
Oh my
I
goodness.
took and
It's ironic because so our kids have been off school the last 2 days, and
you learned something new about me today.
I do. I think that's.
Did not know
I
that.
actually
Phone
think
booth.
that's pretty awesome, and I'm actually jealous because I would love a phone
I would
booth
love to have that.
in my
like,
car or
to
in my
do
car
like
in my
a
house.
photo with holding like the
booth.
phone in the
You
phone.
actually,
I'm right.
you actually have like a full like selfie setup. Like you can actually pay.
Oh
people
my
would probably
goodness.
pay to come.
Take a picture in
take
your
a picture
phone booth.
in your
I
phone
can
booth.
go full Superman in the basement. Yeah.
You could.
So
but,
AJ, you never talked about
was
you
talking-
getting out of basketball
Yeah,
and
I'm good.
transitioning to like the workforce.
I mean, I entered probably a little bit earlier than he did because I quit playing. I blew my knee when I was playing in Germany and decided that I wasn't going to play anymore. And so I was probably 24, somewhere around there. But I mean, like, I actually became a pharmaceutical sales rep because, like, what do you do? Like,
well, that I was going to ask you. Like,
I
your
have
degrees in business.
I have a business
correct?
degree. I don't, I dabbled in insurance for a little while, and then I actually had a recruitment company that was close to us that my wife had actually worked with, and so I was able to get in there, and I spent about 11 years with that company. And what we would do is recruitment. It was called RPO, recruitment process outsourcing, but we would actually go do recruitment for large Fortune companies. So my client list was a lot of Michigan-based. I had Chrysler, I had Kellogg, I had Dow, and we would do all of their hiring.
Okay.
So if you go on the internet and apply for a job, that
It'd
was
go through you.
That was actually us. And so we would do everything but the face-to-face interview. Pretty
Just like
much.
phone interview,
Yeah.
screening.
How did that turn into real estate?
Well, yeah, phone interview, logistics. I mean, we had an on-site presence at Chrysler in Auburn Hills, so I was up there frequently to work in the building, and Kellogg in Battle Creek and Dow's in Midland, Michigan, and so I supported a lot of Michigan-based companies. But Chrysler's crazy. I mean, at the time, and I don't know what it is now, but like we would literally turn the spigot on for maybe 20 minutes and get over 10,000 applicants just for Chrysler's summer vacation replacement program.
Wow.
Which was workers to fill in for the
For the
workers
summer
that
that
came
wanna
off the
take off.
line
Yeah.
for summer
Yeah.
vacations.
So how did you pick who you wanted to go through?
Well, there's qualifications for the positions that people have to meet that are set by the hiring managers and by the organization, and then you would screen those resumes or talk to those people based upon those qualifications for those positions and screen people out.
So what, like, from there, what led you, like, to real estate or where you're at? Oh.
This
He's
guy.
like, right here, pick me. So, like, was there a
Well,
phone call made, or, like, how did this come about?
Yeah, I mean,
where,
I spent about I spent a total of about 17 years doing, corporate work within that field or that realm, and like anything else, I mean, that's kind of unheard of even today. I mean, people don't stay at places, and I wanted to change, and Jason said, "Why don't you come do real estate with me?" And I was like, "Why not?" And here we are, and so.
So I have to ask you, like, because I came from corporate America, I'm actually still in corporate America. I went back to corporate America. How difficult was it for you doing that transition? Because for me, I've only I came out of Madonna, was in corporate America before I graduated from Madonna, and then got my master's from Baker. So how did that transition work for you? Because for me, it wasn't an easy. I still struggle with, because they're both straight entrepreneurs from like the get-go. I was the corporate America girl that was let me jump in, and Tyra was like, okay. Like, she mentored me for years and was like, you're going to do this, this, and this. And I still struggle with that transition from corporate America to entrepreneurship.
Do you think it's a personality thing, or do you think it's just...
I think that it was a lifestyle that I had for 23 years.
Comfort.
It was my comfort. I knew what to expect
zone.
at all times.
Yeah.
I knew how my day was going to go. I knew, like, yes, there's curveballs in corporate America, but I think, like, I always knew that when it was time to hang up the phone at 5 o'clock or turn the computer off,
You're done.
peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, so I think
Yeah.
for me, even adjusting to the different lifestyle of prioritizing entrepreneurship,
I think,
it was different for me.
to answer your question, and I don't know if it's a good answer or not, but, you know, when you're playing sports, everything is either black or it's white.
Very
It
much
is
so.
literally like, if somebody isn't where they're supposed to be, get your ass over there. Like, you know, you just do.
But I felt like sports are comparable to corporate America, because you had the expectations, you
No,
knew what you had to do,
because
you knew where you had to be.
Everything about corporate America is gray.
That's interesting. I would never think of it like that. That's very, because I feel like it's very black and white.
There is no, you can't just go to somebody and say, what the F are you doing? Or you can't call somebody out on the carpet. You have to work with, you know, it.
That's fair.
There's a working relationship and an ebb and flow to that has to happen, right?
Yeah.
And it probably took me a good 2 or 3 years to adjust to that, because
That's
you didn't, and it wasn't that I'd go tell somebody, you know, like, you wouldn't go after somebody, but you had to learn how to work with them.
No, you just say, per my last email. That's what you say.
To repeat myself.
Per my last email, fuck you.
There's a lot of compromise.
Yeah,
There's a lot of you
I
have
guess
to work
that.
together in
Yeah.
order to figure out whatever the solution is.
That's fair.
And that was the
I
biggest,
never thought of it like
that was
that.
the biggest transition challenge. For me.
Yeah.
So then it might have been easier for you to transition into entrepreneurship because for me, like, I felt like sports were like, I knew my schedule, I knew where I had to be, I knew where I was, like, I knew everything that was expected of me.
I think you very much learn what accountability means, but it's also very hard to be in charge of yourself.
Learn what accountability is being an entrepreneur.
Well, you know what it means to get up and go to work. You know what it
Yeah.
means to hit a deadline. You know what it means. You know you know what work translates to a result, right?
Yeah.
You know you have to put in effort to get a result.
Yeah.
But it's also there's a reason why there's coaches,
Yeah, for sure.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, every team has a coach. Every line has a supervisor, and there's a reason for that. Because you have to have someone that can see something in you or get something out of you.
Push
or,
the right buttons.
Or be a reference for you
Right.
to get you
Yeah.
some. Because it's very hard to look in the mirror. It really is.
I think it may be hard making that adjustment from having that person to you now have to be that person to yourself.
You could get a mentor.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, a mentor, that's cool. And I totally recommend a mentor. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have that discipline to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to tell yourself you have to do this before you had like a boss.
Because you guys had
telling
each
you.
other. And, like, for
Yeah.
me, I had them. Like, where Tyra would call me out on my shit, Brooke would call me out. Like, so I had them for that accountability, and you guys had that too. So I do agree that it is different when you're having to step into that role.
A lot of entrepreneurs
yeah.
won't tell you, but they have a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They absolutely have a coach that's helping because it's being a CEO. A CEO doesn't necessarily have anybody to bounce ideas off of, right?
Right.
They need somebody. So they're
Yeah.
typically going to have some sort of a coach there.
Which has been nice because I did this for 10 years. And now having the conversation, even driving up here tonight, was nice to have him in the car to say, what's our next goal?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, I know you guys are individuals, right? You run your own company, right?
Yeah.
So having that opportunity with him this last period of time has been nice. You know, we have questions asked, and both of us can find the answer in different ways, which is a very nice
Awesome to
and easy.
have.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is, right?
What are some
You
of
come-
those goals that you guys are talking about?
I mean, our goal right now is to see where this takes us, right? I mean, that's where we're at. I think, like we spoke about this before. I think we're both intelligent guys. We both can do the job. It's just that if we were just hoping we get others to see that, right? As you guys, right? I'm sure you're all great at your jobs. So the name recognition with this, and hoping that we can spread our wings and kind of branch out, right? So we have friends in Lansing, we have friends in Ann Arbor, we have friends downriver, right? So we are trying to push that scenario
Utilizing
on
your
everybody.
networks.
Exactly, right? And
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
You know, it's hard to get awareness anywhere.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Because you're competing. You're competing with, you know, all of the noise that's happening,
Yeah.
you know, across all of the technology that's available, and you're competing with other people. And this business is very much word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's very much
Referral-based.
referral-based.
Yeah.
It's just it's really all about just being consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where a lot of people, where it ends up not working out, because they feel like, I'm doing all this and it's not working. Well, just keep doing it. Like,
I mean, look
anything
at us
that you
with the
keep
podcast.
doing,
Like,
it's
It's a
going to
grind,
work.
right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we've been doing this podcast for over 2 years, and we're still grinding
Yeah.
and figuring it out
It's
and
every day's a
changing
grind.
things as
Yeah.
we go and having our meetings and stuff like that. So we're at the end, and we're going to wrap it up, and we like to wrap it up with a question. Do you have?
I do
Go
have a
for it.
question. And this is kind of outside of our box, but I would like to ask both of you guys, how do you think being in, is it technically called the league when you're overseas, or what is that technically called?
You just call it European League.
The Bundesliga.
How do you think that experience shaped you guys for how you are now?
Good. Like I wouldn't. Again, the experience of seeing things from an outside perspective for me, you know, America versus how America sees the rest of the world, how Europe or other parts of the world see America, you get a different perspective. I mean, you really do. You don't have an appreciation for choice and freedoms and things like we have here, and I would say that I got a real strong snapshot of what that looks like. People should not take that for granted.
Yeah.
People should defend that as much as possible. And that's what's exciting about all of this for me as it relates to politics is, you know, we're fighting for a lot of those basic freedoms right now. And I mean, it sounds corny to say that, but it's the truth.
No, it's true.
It's the
No,
truth.
I mean, I think the
Yeah.
TikTok ban.
It gives you an
is one of the-
appreciation for what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the ability to adapt is a huge bonus that we got to experience. It was sink or swim at a lot of levels, but being there, learning the language, seeing the other side, learning a different culture, learning how others live is you can't put a price tag on it, right? So I appreciate so many things that I've learned from that experience that even when you try to explain it to people, unless you've been there and done that, it's hard to explain. And that I take a lot into my everyday life. You know, the stresses of X and Y, and sometimes it's not as important as you make it to be in your head, right? And that's the ability to adapt to different things.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
Go ahead.
don't want it to make it sound like my answer was one-sided. Like, there's a lot to take from culture as it relates to how we handle things here too.
But I think being able to bring that back and show your family is like you said, the adaptability and even the learning of different cultures. Like, you can bring that back and be first
Changes your-
generation voice of that.
Certainly changes your family dynamic.
It does.
Right? So my wife lived there. My daughter is growing up one way, right? But when you can explain how things are done at a different level, and that they're not wrong, there's no wrong or right. It's different, and that is a really nice
understanding.
experience.
I love that. It helps you bring up your kids a different way.
Yeah, this isn't right. This isn't wrong.
Sort of
It doesn't. You don't have to
appreciation.
put a number on it or anything like that. But learn from both sides.
Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
most
Yeah.
important thing.
So we
But
don't
that-
talk about real estate, but you guys are in real estate. So I'm going to ask you this. Do you guys have any crazy real estate stories that you can share? Like anything crazy that you can think about, whether it be a transaction, an experience, something that may have happened that you could share?
I did watch your podcast.
You knew it was
Which one?
The cat.
We got cat stories.
cat.
We've
one of
got
them was
stalker
about
stories.
benefits or something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forget
Yes,
how long that
benefits
was.
for.
I don't have any of those
You don't
stories.
have any,
I
not
would
even
love
like a
to.
crazy
I had a
transaction.
couple of them like that.
No, I guess the last, I mean, there's always hiccups, right? And different cities have different hiccups.
Okay,
right?
so that doesn't count because you watched the last podcast. So I'm going to switch it up. What would you tell your younger self?
I can tell you that while he's thinking, I can tell you that people think twice about assaulting us or anything like that.
I mean, sometimes there's like crazy things you see in houses, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or
Or like crazy things in houses.
Or how about this? Your
What?
crazy experience in Spain
Or like, yeah, like a crazy experience overseas.
or overseas.
You guys cheated.
Honey, you're listening? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, jeez. Who
Well,
are you?
no,
it's not crazy, but I can tell you that if you're gonna go out in Europe,
Yes.
it doesn't start till midnight.
Oh,
And
really?
you better be wearing pants.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
I don't know what the pants is.
Can you
but
not
it
wear
does-
pants? If you decide?
Do you know how dinner is over there, right? So your
No.
Saturday night starts at 9:30, 10 for dinner, and you don't go out until 12:31. It's a definite culture change.
There was
right?
many a night that you walked in the door and the sun was coming.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
but
how
I
we do
don't.
it.
Can you the pants though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
pants
Because listen,
part.
we've
I
done
got
that
sent
in
home.
America.
I was ready to go to a club.
Oh, like you like
I
physically
literally
like.
showed up, I had shorts
Yeah,
on.
oh,
And they
okay.
were like, sir, we
Well-
can't let you in. You got to go home.
Oh,
Yeah,
at least
that's
you
a
had
loaded. That's a loaded
shorts.
statement.
Now that was a totally different. I'm thinking like, because listen,
Everyone
I've
got
been in
nervous
America
to see that
and I've
one.
gone out at midnight, not got home till 6 a.m.
I was
in
just
my
wearing
younger
a
years.
blazer.
Blazer and shorts.
You did the sport coat and shorts, huh? You tried to pull that off. And...
No.
I wish I had a more exciting story. I don't.
Okay, then let's go with your younger self. What would you tell your younger self?
Do it again and enjoy it. I mean, honestly, I don't have any regrets. We talked about coming back here, not having any job experience or anything on your resume that you could show to the corporate world, but the life experience outweighs that tenfold. I really do. I think that seeing. I mean, we played everywhere, which was, we would be in Belgrade, we'd be in Greece, we would be in Athens, we would be in everywhere. And that is a life experience I wouldn't give up. No, I'd say do it again.
What about you, AJ?
I'll give a less PC answer.
Okay.
I would have been buying the shit out of real estate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
seeing
true.
Yeah.
real
Very
estate
We've got that answer.
at $65 a square, $85 a square, and now seeing real estate at $250 a square,
Yeah.
$275.
Yep.
I mean, depending on where you are, blah blah blah. But like, I would have been buying the shit out of real estate. I mean,
Well, that's why we're buying real estate and putting it in our kids' names. So
hindsight's always 20/20.
It is.
But I mean,
So
We're
if
giving it to
anyone
our
younger
kids.
isn't it
is
just a kick
listening,
in the teeth to know
like-
that you could have stayed invested in Apple or Nvidia or Tesla or bought properties by the
Yeah.
dozen?
It keeps us all up
It's
at night.
$65 a square foot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
Tough pill to swallow.
all right, all right,
Well-
guys. Brooke, you want to close us out?
Thank you guys for tuning into the RPR podcast. We will see you next week.
Thank you guys so
Guys,
much
thank
for
you
joining
so much
us.
for
Thanks for
joining
having
us.
us.
And the
Yeah.
amazing tequila. It was
Oh my
so
God.
good.
Like, yeah.
Good. Hope it turns you on to something.
Yeah.
We can't afford that shit. Let's not play. We're going to stick with our Milagro.
We'll talk about that
Milagro, if you
later.
want to sponsor us, we're here every week.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
All
Have a
right.
good night. Woo. Ooh, I got hot. My ears got hot. Ooh.
It's actually
Why did you
like-
ask that?
Do you have a picture of it?
I'm thinking like
Get a picture from your kids and
I'm
send them.
telling you.
It's
Like,
actually
But I would freaking
Is it
love
like
to
wasn't it
have
like
a
a
phone
silver
booth in my
blue
house.
something?
okay, so time out. The phone booth is actually in your house right now.
Yeah.
Like in your basement.
it's
That is like
How can I come across a phone booth?
it's a